Cher's joined me on YouTube. So I thought I was going to be really late for a minute then. I've done the same thing as I did last week, and I'm not at all prepared. So you see, I've still got my books out looking for hymns and music and songs. Really, I've not had a lot of time to myself this week because I've obviously been busy doing company stuff, and I've hidden the chat behind my iPad, so I can't actually see the chat on YouTube. So I might move that over a bit, so now I can't see the screen on YouTube. But let's do some moving around. A bit of feng shui in the office. I think Janet's on her way. My two groupies, Cher and Janet. Oh, Marie Flynn normally joins me on Facebook. So just move that so I can see you now. Well, I can see the chat anyway. So story time again. I thought, it'll be really easy, and I've actually struggled to find things again this week. But what do I do? I need to turn that on. I've got a list to go through. There's only about 5 things on it, so if anybody can think of anything, then please tell me. I think I've lost my book now. So I was going to start with Wondrous Stories by Yes, but I haven't had time to practice it, so that's not happening this week. Probably happen next week. What I'm going to start with is the one that I picked out for me, because I seem to like all the really sad hymns. That's how I tend to go. I said last week, didn't I, that I'd try and find the information on the Freshwater hymn, written by, I think it's a Parry hymn, with the words by Tennyson, because it's Crossing the Bar. So I just find this. I don't know if it's in any of our hymn books, but we use this a lot in the unit. I've got my Unitarian hymn book out. It's definitely in here because I found it earlier. But again, I've not had time to practice, so it could be absolutely appalling. But anyway, I've got a couple of hymns today, and they're all about just the process of life and death, really. Like I said, they're all a little bit miserable today, so I do apologise in advance for that. So, Crossing the Bar. I'll just read you this, and then I'll play it to you. It's just such a gorgeous tune, and because it's got a bit of local history and a local story behind it, so I'll start with this one. So the complete text for this hymn: sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea, but such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening hour, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. So I've just got a little bit of information about this, which I should read out before I play it. So my time's buzzing away there, because it's just on for the first time in about 3 days. The speaker heralds the setting of the sun and the rise of the evening star, and hears that he is being called. He hopes that the ocean will not make the mournful sound of waves beating against the sandbar when he sets out to sea. Rather, he wishes for a tide that is so full that it cannot contain sound or foam, and therefore seems asleep when all that has been carried from the boundless depths of the ocean returns back out to the depths. The speaker announces the close of the day and the evening bell, which will be followed by darkness. He hopes that no one will cry when he departs, because although he may be carried beyond the limits of time and space as we know them, he retains the hope that he will look upon the face of his pilot when he has crossed the sandbar. Tennyson wrote Crossing the Bar in 1889, 3 years before he died. The poem describes his placid and accepting attitude toward death. Although he followed this work with subsequent poems, he requested that Crossing the Bar appear as a final poem in all collections of his work. Tennyson uses the metaphor of a sandbar to describe the barrier between life and death. A sandbar is a ridge of sand built up by currents along a shore. In order to reach the shore, the waves must crash against the sandbar, creating a sound that Tennyson describes as the moaning of the bar. The bar in one of is one of several images of liminality in Tennyson's poetry. In Ulysses, the hero desires to sail beyond the sunset. In Tithonus, the main character finds himself at the quiet limit of the world and regrets that he is asked to pass beyond the goal of ordinance. The other important image in the poem is one of crossing, suggesting Christian connotations. Crossing refers both to crossing over into the next world and to the act of crossing oneself in the classic Catholic gesture of religious faith and devotion. The religious significance of crossing is clearly familiar to Tennyson, for in an earlier poem of his, the knights and lords of Camelot crossed themselves for fear when they saw the Lady of Shalott lying dead in her boat. The cross was also where Jesus died. Now, as Tennyson himself dies, he evokes the image again. So too does he hope to complement this metaphorical link with a spiritual one. He hopes that he will see his Pilate face to face. So I think there was some inspiration for that. There's something about somewhere on the island. There is something about Tennyson and crossing the bar, the poem Crossing the Bar. So I can't remember where it is. I just remember seeing it in the case and reading it. I couldn't tell you, but somewhere. And the hymn is called, the tune of the hymn by Parry is called Freshwater. So it's got, I just thought I'd include this because it's got a bit of local history to it, and it's a nice tune. Farringford, that's it. Farringford. It might be somewhere. I know. So if it's somewhere over Freshwater way, I went into some museum or house or something. But it's crossing the bar cases. Yeah, returned to Farringford his summer home. Yeah. So it was as he was crossing the Solent across. So inspired by that crossing across on the probably not on the ferry in Tennyson's time. It was probably on a rickety old boat or something. I don't know. I find it interesting, and I love history and stories behind music. So I was quite glad I'm quite enjoying the storytelling month that we're having, because I do like stories behind music. There's something. There was a piece we were playing at bands, and one of the ladies in band liked to look into the history of all the pieces we were playing as well. And I wish I could remember what it was, but there was a piece and it changed. It was in 8 time, so all quavers in the bars, and it changed numbers of quavers every bar. The time signature changed in every single bar, all in quavers, and it was all in silly numbers, like silly odd numbers, like it'd be 3/8, 7/8, 11/8, just really stupid. It's so hard to play, such a challenge to play. And my friend who I was sitting next to a band, she said, "I looked into this piece, and what it was the composer's future son-in-law. The composer's partner, fiance. They were getting married, and his new father-in-law was adamant that he was going to march her down the aisle. So he wrote a special piece of music so that he couldn't, just to stop him marching which I thought was quite funny. Some of the stunts these people playing the music and the history behind it, I just find it so interesting. So if anybody knows of any more, there's another one. There was something about a piece by Mozart. I think it was Mozart. I read there was an opera singer that used to move her head up and down with the notes, and Mozart deliberately wrote her a piece of music that made her bob up because he didn't like her, and he deliberately wrote her a piece of music that just went high and low and high and low to make her bob up and down on the stage and embarrass her. So they were all at it. What was I going to follow that with? I'll do some stories behind the hymns as well, because I've got a couple more like that I'm going to do. But like I said, I don't want it to be too miserable or anything. So I printed out this top 10 most popular hymns of all time and their history. And from last week, I played Amazing Grace off of this list and In Christ Alone. So I found a couple more interesting stories behind some hymns. So the first one is How Great Thou Art. Let me just dig it out with my book first so I know what I'm doing. So I'm it's all over the place today. I do apologise. I will try and be more organised next week. Just got a lot going on at the moment. Right, I don't normally play it in that key. Is it in Songs of Fellowship? Sure, do you know what number How Great Thou Art is in Songs of Fellowship? And is it Oh Lord My God? I don't know the alphabet one enough. Oh Lord My God. Oh, there it is. I don't play it in that key either. I've got a choice of B flat or A. Oh, maybe I do play it in B flat. Right, let's go for that one anyway. So, How Great Thou Art. The history behind this one. It's a prayer, a plea, and a declaration of God's infinite greatness. This song was written by Carl Gustaf Boberg, a 26-year-old pastor in Sweden. As the story goes, Boberg was caught in a thunderstorm one Sunday afternoon after church. From his perch in the mountains, Boberg watched as the storm swept in with a bolt of lightning and massive clap of thunder. The storm hurtled through the meadows and grain fields, reverberating across the countryside with the sound of its astounding power. After the storm, Pastor Boberg looked out his windows, overlooking Montserrat Bay. A rainbow spread across the sky. The birds were singing, the church bells were softly tolling, and Carl was overwhelmed by God's power and majesty. The result was an outpouring of adoration and worship in the writing of the song, O Storgud. The song made a circuit of translations, German, Russian, and English, and picked up a stanza from an English missionary, Stuart Cahine, in 1949. Now the song is sung by millions of Christians in dozens of languages, all praying the same heartfelt prayer of humble adoration. My God, how great thou art. Oh. little while. What I was going to follow that with a different, completely different story behind it is great is thy faithfulness. Because a little bit about this one is it's inspiring to hear about hymns that were written in extraordinary circumstances, like the last one. That's why I've tied these two together: thunderstorms, shipwrecks, or life-shaking events. Still, not every great hymn was written in the throes of danger or the heights of exultation. In fact, one of the greatest, Great is Thy Faithfulness, was written by an ordinary man in an ordinary situation in the ordinary ups and downs of life. Thomas Chisholm was a pastor for 1 year, but for most of his life he worked as an insurance agent. He was born in humble means in Kentucky, struggled with health problems, and worked hard to make ends meet the rest of his life. He wrote, "My income has not been large at any time due to impaired health in the early years, which has followed me on until now. Although I must not fail to record here the unfailing faithfulness of a covenant-keeping God, and that he has given me many wonderful displays of his providing care, for which I am filled with astonishing gratefulness. This hymn for the ordinary Christian is about an extraordinary God. Rich or poor, we all can say, all I have needed, thy hand hath provided." There you go. Something else I was going to talk about a little bit was Cher sent me a list of pieces, didn't you? Cher sent a list through of secular story songs that don't make any sense without the words, because what I do is obviously, unless I feel like singing, is obviously all quite instrumental. But I'm so fascinated and interested and just drawn by music that can tell a story and express things without the need for words. And I love like word painting, or when we do a hymn or sing a song and there's something happening in the music that is reflecting the words that you're singing, because words aren't always necessary. And I love music that tells a story. My favourites, because I don't really like listening to music, but if I'm studying something and I'm looking into it and I'm listening to something I like, so one of my favourite all-time favorite pieces, obviously classical, like is the Peter and the Wolf. That's all instrumental, and they do it by each instrument represents like a different animal in the story, and it happens all the time in operas and in any stories about people and things that have music. So we studied Carmen, and Carmen and all the other big characters in the opera will have a small musical motif, which will be in all of their pieces of music, and you'll hear it. If you hear their little tune, their little melody, it's like the darts and the wrestlers like coming on song thing, and their entrance song. And if you hear it, you know that you're about to see that character soon. And so I'm fascinated by that. And so, like I said, words aren't always necessary. And a couple of things that sort of stuck with me. And you notice how when the hero of the piece, when the hero is arriving, you'll always hear the music for that will normally, 9 times out of 10, I reckon, start with a perfect fifth. It'll always start with that because it's like a fanfare. It's a big announcement of here comes the hero, and the other thing. So Carmen's quite a sad character, and her thing was like an augmented fourth, and it happens in Purcell uses those a lot for his sad, like the sad characters, the victims in the piece. And the augmented fourth is it's like a quite, and you'll sort of hear. You only need like 2 notes to get the. You can either so it's like here comes the hero, or we've got and then that's the sad person or the villain, or it just is more dissonant notes. So I don't think, and I think it's because I'm more an instrumentalist than I am a vocalist, so I've always needed to get everything across in using just music. So I do think it is possible, and I have printed out a list of songs that people have suggested, so I'll look at those and see, and I'll try and find something for next week to sort of as a good example of the sort of thing that I'm talking about, because it does happen. Like in the preview, what was the last hymn I played? It happens all the time in music, and it's worth listening out for. So when what you're singing is reflecting the notes you're singing, is reflecting the words that you're singing. So in greatest, even in the last, what was it? How great thou art. In how great thou art, it happens also. Then sings my soul at the beginning of the verse is then sings my soul. It's like an ascending arpeggio. And it does just sort of force it out and makes you, I don't know, it's a job to explain really. And we were talking about our favourite hymns, I think, and somebody said about that one, and that when they get to the chorus, that's how they feel, and it just pushes you a bit. And that's the music doing that, though. It's not just the words. The music is contributing to that as well. So anyway, that's enough of that. Me babbling on about that. So that's my interest in music. I'm just absolutely fascinated by word painting in music, and it's always worth listening out for. Always. The others, I was go back to the sad ones with the miserable stories, and so the other one I really love is I watched the sunrise. So this, like we had a couple of hymns last week that sort of went through the whole story of everything in just 4 or 5 verses. When I watched the sunrise, it's this like the seasons of life, talking you through the seasons of life, and sunrise, and I can't think what the other ones are. I'll read the words to you. I'll find the words and I'll read them to you. I can find the hymn. I wrote a number down somewhere, I'm sure I did. So 469. So we start with, I watched the sunrise, lighting the sky, casting its shadows near. And on this morning, bright though it be, I feel those shadows near me. But you are always close to me, following all my ways. May I be always close to you, following all your ways, Lord. So then verse 2 is the sunlight. So I watch the sunlight shine through the clouds, warming the earth below. And at the midday, life seems to say, I feel your brightness near me. Then verse 3 moves on to the sunset. I watch the sunset fading away, lighting the clouds with sleep. And as the evening closes its eyes, I feel your presence near me. And then the final verse is, I watch the moonlight. I watch the moonlight guarding the night, waiting till morning comes. The air is silent, earth is at rest. Only your peace is near me. So I love this one. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous tune. So a little bit about it. This folk style hymn about God's presence throughout life seasons was written by English poet, hymn writer, and at the time Roman Catholic seminarian priest John Glynn. It was first published in 20th Century Folk Hymnal Volume 2 in 1975 under the original title, Close to You. It became extremely popular for both weddings and funerals and has also been used at various memorial ceremonies, e.g. for the Hillsborough disaster and the Manchester bombing, and also in TV shows, soundtracks, etc. It has been recorded by a number of artists, including Daniel O'Donnell, who is sometimes incorrectly listed as the writer. Right, everybody's abandoned me on Facebook. No one can find me on Facebook, so I don't think anybody's there. Everybody's having difficulties today. The other one I was going to do, because I had one, I love to tell the story, which is in the United Methodist hymnal, which was on my tablet, and I couldn't find it last week. I can't guarantee I can find it now, actually, but I'm going to give it a try. Is it in? There it is. I can't remember where I put the app because I've tied it up and put it all in folders and things. So I think I've got 3 more on my list. That'll probably do. What number was it? It was number 1. No, 5, 6 apparently. I love to tell the story. I didn't know this until I still don't know it because I only really sort of glanced at it the other week. Right. So I love to tell the story of unseen things above, of Jesus and his glory, of Jesus and his love. I love to tell the story because I know 'tis true. It satisfies my longings as nothing else can do. To tell the old story of Jesus and his love. Some of you probably know this. Let's put it where I can see all the music. Them lines are far too close together in that music. Right, there's another new one for me today. And then I did find a couple more which I wrote down on a scrap of paper. I can't remember why I'd picked them out. So we've got two. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. How strange. Right. 243. I don't know what it is. So I just jotted some numbers down because there was something. If anybody can think of any more for next week or the week after or rest of this month. Oh yeah, it was a story. It was a rich young man came seeking. God's kingdom was his aim. The law had been his guidebook. His life was free from blame. But Jesus asked the courage to give his wealth away. The young man turned in sorrow. That price he would not pay. The rich man's gifts were lavish and made for public show. The widow's gift was humble, and only God would know. In giving to the temple, although her coins were small, her gift had so much meaning because she gave her all. One boy brought loaves and fishes. No other food was there, but Jesus fed the thousands and still had bread to spare. The miracle of plenty soon spread beyond that place. That simple gift was offered, then multiplied by grace. Lord, keep our care for money from turning into greed. Help us to use it wisely to meet each other's need. For whether poor or wealthy, we have so much to share, and open-hearted giving will show your loving care. No, so I haven't finished my coffee. Made that about an hour ago. Right. So a rich young man came seeking. Pretty tune. Red Hills, that tune by David Lee. And then the other one I've got is 108. I don't have no idea what it is. I just fancied, there were some titles in the book I've quite fancied, and I thought they might tie in with my theme. Oh yeah, in the beginning, I might finish with this one. No, I won't finish with this one. I'll do one from the back of the book. So in the beginning, God played with the planets. I don't know if this is familiar to anybody. Set them a spinning in time and in space. Stars in the night sky while sun lit the daytime. Blue was the globe that formed for our race. God saw the seas and the fish that swam in them, formed the dry lands where the trees soon would grow. Animals now could inhabit the countries warmed by the oceans or covered in snow. After the animals, people were coming, made in God's likeness to live on the earth. Big, the blue planet God gave them to live on, sharing its riches, its wonder and worth. So it's a story, it's a creation story. just going to play it. I think there's nowhere in this to do an introduction from. That's probably the wrong chord to finish on. I like that one. I really like that one. We'll put that in a service at some point. I do need to write these down when I play them. There's some fantastic hymns that I've done in the last few months. Well, the last year this has been going, hasn't it? Over a year. It's some fantastic tunes we found. So I might finish. No, I don't know what I'm going to finish with. Shall we finish with the Lord's Prayer? I don't normally, do I? Let's have a go at the Lord's Prayer, just as a pleasant tune to sort of say goodbye with, and then I'll go home because we've got the quiz tonight. The quiz tonight, if you want to join us, is on Bar's Facebook page on Bar 74. And what's happening? We quite often do a Pictionary round, which I draw for because I'm quite good at drawing, but Vic isn't. So tonight, because it's the last live streamed one, Vic's going to be doing the drawing, but he doesn't know. I haven't told it. I'm going to tell him tonight, just before he has to draw it, what the pictures, what the thing is that he has to draw. So we're gonna have quite a few laughs this evening, I think. And I said he could get back to me on the music round. So what I've done for the music round is I've got 101 Broadway songs. So I'm just going to let him pick a number. I think his page is 4 to 112 or something. So I'm going to let him pick a number between those two numbers and then just play whatever's on that page. So neither of us, we've got a round each tonight besides the normal questions, and neither of us know what we're doing until we do it this evening. So should be fun. So, and I think a lot of it is because I just couldn't be bothered to prepare anything. I just didn't have the time to arrange anything or sort anything out or plan anything. And sometimes doing things off the cuff and a little bit spontaneous seems to work okay, like the last 2 weeks of this. So I'm going to finish with the Lord's Prayer, and then I shall let you all get on and have your dinner or whatever you're trying to do. Right, that's me done for today. Hopefully, I will do. I know I said it last week, but hopefully, I'll be a bit better prepared next week. But if you do have anything you can send me, please do. I'll try and do more secular stuff next week. But I have got a list of things to look at, but it's whether or not I get time, because I'm doing two services on a Sunday, or 4 Sunday, because plus it's having to do the hymns every week, because that's a whole day of my time. And I've got my support work going. I'm out twice for my support work this week, off gallivanting tomorrow and on Thursday, because we're off to the mainland on Thursday for the afternoon. So I hope I've had the hymns for Sunday before then, so that I can get them done. So once again, thank you very much for joining me. Sure, I think it's just us two today, but I'm sure people will be watching on catch. If you're watching on catch up, do put a little comment in the chat still, because I will see them. I do catch up with the chat at a later date. If you've got any ideas for hymns and things, or themes after this month, after storytelling month finishes, any themes you want put in, then please do let me know. So I'll see you all same time, same place next week.